for me, the most important thing that the client needs to know and kind of has to feel is things are okay. I am in good hands. Let's build this thing.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of third season of HackCast. Today we are going to talk about how we at HackSoft price our projects. It's me, Ivo, and
It's me, Rado.
yeah,
Could you tell us more about our current YouTube goal?
we have a goal to reach 1,000 subscribers.
Yep.
And as soon as we do this, we are going to have a giveaway.
Yep.
It is going to be the latest and greatest DAS keyboard.
Yes. Whatever it is.
Okay, I think right now it's 6 Pro.
Something like this.
Okay.
It looks really good. Yeah. We are soon going to order it so we can show it and have more motivation. But yeah, we're going for 1,000 subscribers. And once we get there, we are going to pick one from those 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, season 3, episode 2, what's HackSoft pricing strategy? Today we're going to talk about money.
Money.
Yeah, money is an important thing, and it's important to talk how we actually price things and how we work with clients in financial terms, because I think this is going to be an interesting topic for quite a lot of folks, and I believe for our future clients too.
Sure.
So if we have to do an overview, what's our pricing strategy? We have three main ways of pricing things. So
Yeah. So first thing we do, one of the three pricing models is, of course, fixed pricing for a given project,
all right,
which is the fixed pricing model, as we call it.
yeah,
So the second thing we do is fixed price for a team
per month.
meaning that this whole team, whatever we decide, is going to cost that much per month for this project. And of course, we have support deals where we have ongoing supports month by month for projects that are already out there and kind of done.
Yeah, so those are basically the only three ways that we do pricing at HackSoft. It's either we're going to give our clients a final price, which is a fixed one, or we're going to form a team internally, like not for the client in an outstaffing manner, but we're going to form a team internally based on the project, and this team is going to have a fixed monthly fee.
Yes.
Or we do, as you said, support deals, support monthly retainer, and we have to figure out what's included in that specific support deal.
Yeah.
And we will get to hourly pricing at the end, but before we get there, let's break down the three one by one and give more detail and give more context, starting with the fixed pricing per project.
Yeah. Fixed pricing is client going to us saying, hey, I want to do this project. I have a pretty good understanding of what needs to be done, or the project is some kind smaller in terms of size, and we can just break it down a little, do some math, and say, okay, this project is going to be done in, let's say, 6 months, and this is going to cost you X amount of money.
Yeah.
And that way, we take the risk of project going longer or being way more complex than it looks like.
Yeah.
But we can give final price with final time period to do the project.
Yeah, you mentioned risk. We were going to also discuss the risk distribution because this is also important. Important thing to consider. So yeah, a client comes and has good requirements, let's say, or has a clear idea what wants to be built and what wants to be achieved. Then we can approach this client and think about the project and give one final price, which I think is the best case scenario for the client, because the client will know from the very beginning how much this thing is going to cost. Because otherwise, if we say, yeah, let's form a team and we're going to bill you month by month and we're going to work as long as needed, sometimes you basically don't know. If you don't know how long we're going to work, you don't know how much it's going to cost. And there are projects that require this kind of approach. But what we usually do whenever a new client comes is to figure out if this is a good fit for a fixed project or if this is a good fit for let's build a team and let's start working together, establishing a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this is part of the job that we do. And it's part of the skill that we develop. But what we do no matter what is we try to start with the discovery phase. Like this is us talking to the client, asking questions, figuring out the details, figuring out the requirements, figuring out if the thing that the client wants is actually the thing that the client needs. And this can take some time. And usually this discovery phase, sometimes we do it for free. Like sometimes we just initiate the conversation and it can take a couple of weeks. But if we think that it's going to take some more time because the client has some vague requirements and we need to work on the requirements, then we can give a fixed price for the discovery phase with the final goal of having a better and clear idea what needs to be done and what needs to be built. And if we get there, like for me, for example, if we end up with a good requirements and good description and some kind of wireframes or Figma, it's really good. It's really hard to start working with just a couple of sentences without any visuals, without any idea, because then we're going to figure everything out during software development, which is for sure more expensive for the client. And that's why we start with the discovery phase. And during this discovery phase, it's clearing out requirements. We do a lot of diagrams, we do a lot of wireframes, and we do a lot of questions and answers and keeping track of all questions and all answers. And while we're doing all of this, we compile a final document that's going to be like the specification and requirements for at least the initial development that we're going to do with text, with diagrams, with wireframes.
True. So the output of this work is once again a document full of diagrams, descriptions, designs, mockups, wireframes, whatever, everything in one place telling what the project needs to be at the end.
And the best thing about this is you're still not like committed to HackSoft. While we do the discovery phase, you can then take the result, have much, much better requirements, and then go shopping around for someone else to build the software if you want to do this. And we've done this with clients and it works pretty well. Usually the clients are pretty happy with the output and they want to continue working with us. And then once we are done with the discovery phase, and like opening a parenthesis here, there can be multiple discovery phases, like first phase, second phase, third phase, depending on the complexity of the project. Once we are done with the discovery phase, we can then have a better judgment and evaluation if we want to do a fixed project or this thing is going to require a team on an ongoing basis and like work for years. And usually after the discovery phase, it's a good idea to do a fixed initial release. Meaning, okay, we have a better idea what we want to build. Let's pick from this the minimum viable product, something that we're going to do as an initial release, and build it, and we're going to give you a fixed price so we can build it. And once we get there, then we can start talking about forming a team and establishing a longer relationship. But the thing is, when we give a fixed price, the risk is on our end. And you mentioned this, why the risk is on our end.
Because the project may become way more complex, or there may be a lot of hidden features, things that we didn't think at first. And basically all the risk of, let's say, poor technical decisions, or let's say the client is gone for 2 months because of a vacation or something, it's still on our end.
Yes. And the thing is, again, this is why it's good for the client. And since we don't want to like do bad relationships because we've just given a fixed price without thinking things through, that's why we start with the discovery phase and try to get better requirements, and then perhaps do an initial release that's going to be fixed price, because then again the client knows so far what the price is going to be, and with the initial release the client can have a product that he or she can use or test. And then we come to the engagement where we form a team internally. This team has a monthly fee, and we start working on an ongoing basis. Like we work as long as we need to work. So what are the details of us forming a team? How does this look like internally?
Yeah, well, when we are doing the discovery phase, we ask a lot of questions like, what is this going to be? How is this going to work? And sometimes the answer is just I don't know. We need to speak to clients. We need to release something first, get some users ongoing, get some feedback, and take decisions after this, which is normally the case in projects that are starting from scratch and don't really have a good vision of what exactly we need to be in, let's say, 6 months. So this is the situation where we start to form a team. And normally the team starts really small and then grows and grows and grows because more and more work appears. So it always starts with a technical team lead.
Yes.
The person that is responsible for the client communication, internal technical decisions that needs to be made, and working with the exact tech team in order to ship the features, deliver the software. And then, of course, depending on the software stack we choose, or the requirement, is going to be a mobile app, is it going to be a desktop software, maybe both, how we are going to approach the problem with all the information that we have up to now. We decide what team we need for start. Probably 2 full stack developers, 1 backend, 1 front. It really depends on the project. And this is how we form the first initial team. And then whenever this team starts to work with, of course, it comes more and more work, because more and more potential for doing features and improvements. And if the client is actually onboarding clients to this piece of software, then we basically have a huge backlog full of things that we would like to tackle. So it's a great opportunity to add more and more people to the team.
Yes.
But we normally start small. Yeah. It's rarely a situation where we can start with a huge team from the beginning. It doesn't really make sense.
Unless a client comes with they already have a software, and there are already pain points, and we need to take an emergency care of everything, then perhaps it makes better sense to onboard more people so we can tackle more things from the very beginning. But if we're talking about brand new projects, greenfield projects, this team usually forms even during the discovery phase and during the initial fixed phase. I would say, because it's really hard to know what your project is going to look like in 6 months, and it's really hard to know what your project is going to look like in 2 years. And usually, you know that this thing is going to take 5 years from start to beginning, with a lot of iterations, with a lot of changes, and you don't want to waste any more time in discussing requirements beforehand so we can give you a final price, because this is good for the beginning. But if you have to do this every single month, then this becomes an overhead, and it's better to know, okay, let's form you a team that's going to take care of everything, and let's establish our way of building software and our way of communicating, and things will happen. So for me, this is the point where we need to stop thinking about fixed projects, and we need to start thinking about ongoing relationship, forming a good team internally with the technical team leads up front, which is going to do the technical team lead does the communication, and is also a senior developer who manages the rest of the team internally. And once we get there, for me, the most important thing that the client needs to know and kind of has to feel is, things are okay, I am in good hands, let's build this thing. The client should not worry about, requirements, let's negotiate on the fixed price, what we're going to do next. The client needs to know that once we start working, and once we start establishing good rhythm, and once we start establishing synergies inside the team, things will only get better and software will get shipped. And for me, this is the difference between doing fixed projects and doing ongoing relationships with clients. Of course, there are projects that are smaller in scope. We can just do it fixed. That's fine. Always. But usually the clients that we work with and have been working with for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, this is how things started. Discovery phase, something fixed, and then we formed the team, and this team started performing and started shipping software. And this is how we usually approach things. This is our internal discussion when a new client comes, and we start discussing how to approach this. For us, it's best to do everything. Discovery phase, ship something fixed so the client can see that we can actually ship, and we're good at communicating, and things are going well and smooth. And then we commit to a longer ongoing relationship. where this team it's fixed per month. Usually there are like additions in the first 6 months up to a year in order to best figure out how many people we need in order to handle the software and the requirements there. And once we get to around 7, I think we start splitting teams. Like it's not a good idea to have more than 6-7 people on one team, and we can work with a client, form 2 teams with 2 separate technical team leads, and just grow like this.
Normally, when we are talking about projects, ongoing projects with a fixed fee for the team, you just mentioned trust. So we need to establish a good rhythm, a good trust between HackSoft and the client. And one of the ways we are doing is with frequent releases. So when we have an ongoing team working on a project, we are aiming to have as frequent releases as possible, because that way the client can do demos, can onboard clients, can get feedback from these clients and decide what to do next, which is hugely important when we are speaking for an ongoing development. There is a result almost, let's say, every week, every couple of days, there is something new or some improvements done there on production. So that way the client can assure we have more and more work on the backlog.
Of course. And you mentioned when we do fixed projects, the risk is on us because it's up to us to figure out the scope, the requirements, the complexity according to the price. If we start straight up with like a monthly fee for a team, then the risk is on the client, because this client, if it's a brand new client, still don't knows if we are going to work well together, if we're going to ship, and if we're going to deliver. And then that's why we say the risk is more leaning towards the client. But if this client goes through discovery, goes through fixed, and then sees that we are good, I think then the risk is mitigated, because then we can start performing better. I think that's the key thing, at least in my head. Initially, we take on more risk in order to build trust, and once this trust is established, we can start performing.
Yep, I can agree.
Yeah, and sometimes, like we do something fixed, it's ready, it's in production, there are end users, there are no new features to be developed, but someone needs to support the system in case something happens. And this is when we do our support engagements. Which is basically like you have a monthly support retainer, monthly support fee, and we need to agree on what support means. Like production is down, of course, we will do everything that we can to bring it back, maintaining the versions of all the dependencies that we use. Like something breaks or something is a critical bug, we need to fix it. All of those things usually go under support agreement. And again, when we're doing support, I think the risk is more on our end, because there are clients that will do anything to push new features as if this is support, or as if those are bugs and things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, so we really need to define what support is for the given client, just because new features, if there's something really small, probably it can be handled as a support work, like moving a button or something like this. If this is something that was never designed to be working like this, probably it's not supposed to change the way it works, because we just decide to change the feature. And the software is a living thing. Once it's on production, it needs maintenance from time to time. Either upgrading requirements, fixing like security issues that appear on the libraries that we use, supporting even the infrastructure, because things get outdated and we need to constantly update them and ensure that the software is up and running on production without any critical or security issues. And it's almost impossible to expect to leave a software on production and never touch it for a couple of years and then just onboard a team and continue working on this. So we need someone to be supporting the living thing in there on the servers.
And that's why we have support agreements. And all the things that you mentioned are extremely important. And usually clients tend to think, oh, this is ready, this is working good. I don't want to pay anyone anything anymore related to software. So it's working. So if it's working, then it's fixed and it's going to be working for like forever, which is with software, this is not the case. And as a client, you are taking a lot of risk if you don't follow up with proper support engagement with whoever built your thing, because then you say, oh no, I'm not going to pay you. Everything's fine. I know someone who's going to help me. Usually, yes, but most of the times, no. And when things go bad and everything is on fire because there was no one supporting it to catch it in the very first place, you start picking the phone or you start sending emails, and then it's going to cost you way, way, way more, because you're looking for someone to handle your emergency, and this someone, be it ourselves or someone else, is going to handle the emergency at the appropriate price. So this is what we try to communicate to clients. It's important to have some kind of a support engagement in place, just as a precaution. What's the English word for zastrachowka?
Insurance.
Just for insurance, that you won't be in a situation where you have to pay quite a lot of money for your thing to get fixed because you skipped maintenance and support.
Yeah, and if no one is supporting your project for a long time, it gets worse and worse in terms of fixing it after this, because already all your libraries are outdated. You have to upgrade them all at once, and you don't split the risk. Already, let's say your Postgres needs to be upgraded because the end of life support of this server is coming, and you need to do something. If you don't do anything, I guess your service provider is going to upgrade it for you. And then your situation, okay, it's already upgraded. We don't have the trial period, and now let's see if things are still working. Yeah. Which again is problematic.
Yeah. And I think that's about it. Those are the ways that we work, and so far I think they're working pretty well for us. And it took us a while to get here, to figure out the monthly team fee, the fixed price, the discovery phase, the support retainers, because as a company that does end-to-end software development, by default, everyone thinks that we bill by the hour, the so-called hourly billing. And this is whenever we talk with new clients, the question that we always get asked in first meetings is, what is your rate card? Send me a table where you have a position and how much this position costs by the hour. And we, of course, in the beginning, we were working just like that, by the hour.
It's an industry standard.
Yeah, it's the expected thing in the industry. It's industry standard. And at some point, we decided this is not working well for us. This is not working well for the client. So let's just drop this.
I still don't really understand why clients are aiming to work like this. Because when you're working on hourly billing with someone, you get all the risk. These guys, you're paying them hourly, but you still get all the risk for you, because they may be really slow. They may be sick for 2 months or something, and at the end of the day, you don't have a product, but you paid some money to this partner. And you're, again, taking all the risk, and you don't have any visibility of what the end amount of money is going to be, what the end cost is going to be for this project, which is a huge question for me. Why are clients asking for hourly rates?
I think it's because it's industry standard, and second, because most of the clients are doing some kind of window shopping, and so the client wants to know how much this is going to cost.
But hourly billing doesn't answer this question.
Yeah, but hourly billing is easily inputted in a spreadsheet, multiplied by 8, by 20, or by whatever number, and there are some, because the clients usually ask for a rate card, and then they ask you for an estimate, which is important thing to also discuss. And given those two things, whenever you give an estimate, this is the golden rule, you give an estimate, a ballpark, but whatever you give the client is the final, very final thing, the very final price. Whenever they hear a price, this is anchored, that's final. And that's why it's very important not to give any estimates, especially in the very beginning. It's well, no. Let's talk. Let's do discovery. No, we're not there yet. And that's why clients are asking, because they want estimate, they want the rate, because they want to input it in a spreadsheet and get a final price. They are doing this because they think they know they can derive the final price based on those inputs, because they think whenever you ask a software developer or a software development company for an estimate, they think that we can actually give this estimate and this estimate is going to be correct. Most of the times it's just wrong guessing. And for example, we don't give estimates almost like in very rare cases we will give an estimate. And we don't give estimates because we don't want to lie to our clients. And this is what we tell them. I don't want to lie to you. I cannot give you an estimate. This is like you're asking me how long is going to take something that you've just described in 3 paragraphs.
Okay.
And I usually say it can take a month. It can take like a week, like something very, very simple. It can take 2 years.
Really depends.
It really depends, yeah. And that's why clients are asking for hourly billing, because they think they can derive the final price based on that.
Okay, and it's easier to compare different providers,
Exactly.
different companies based on the numbers.
Exactly, and it's easier to negotiate this price down, which leads to like the second biggest problem that we had with hourly billing is first we were working on with like extremely cheap for the value that we were providing.
Yes.
And once you have established a certain price, it's really hard to raise that price. It's really, really hard. Like the client has all the negotiating power. And the problem, the other problem that we had is you have to make your developers track time.
That's always an issue, yeah.
And not only I have worked today, like 8 hours, but please tell me the separate work items, break it down by...
Track them in Jira,
Yeah.
log your work in different tickets or something.
Which is an overhead, which takes from the energy that this particular person can use toward software development.
Sure.
And opens up the endless possibility of negotiation at the end of the month where the client asks, oh, why this has taken you so long? I'm not going to pay you. Like this is... And we've had like bad clients like this. We've had such talks and discussions, and this is just an extreme overhead where trust is not there. And even if trust is there, at the very moment you break something down to the client, they will start negotiating because they want to do business. They will start negotiating about those prices. So we want to reduce this risk. And finally, we're not selling time. Like we're not doing hourly. We stopped doing hourly. This was the best business decision for HackSoft. I think this enabled us to start growing, to be honest.
I can agree.
To be honest, on the business side of
Yes.
things. Whenever you work and charge by the hour, the incentive is wrong because we charge by the hour and
Absolutely.
we're just going to take way more time than needed because this is the incentive. If we want to grow our business and we are negotiating on price and this price is not like the client is not willing to pay more, then what we are left with is the incentive of taking more time, which we don't want to do because we want to be actually shipping everything every week, something every week. Mm-hmm. And because of those things, we decided to drop it. It was a hard sell with all of our clients. A lot of negotiations, a lot of talks, but I think it's now better. We are now pricing based on the value that we provide. And the more value we provide, of course, the more we're going to price it. And we now have the incentive to become better because we're not charged by the hour. So we need to be better at our job, better at our work, ship more, communicate better with the client, figure things out better. And I think it's a win-win scenario.
If there is a significant amount of trust between you and the client, and you receive your invoice with your time report, if you're not a technical person, you'll be like, why this take so long? It looks like just moving a button around. But the thing is that you need to track your time really carefully if you're working on hourly basis.
Yeah.
And this conversation, hey, why is this taking you so long to do, is a horrible conversation because you need to dig into the technical details of, we needed to create new APIs and then re-implement the old flow because it's covering some other flows and so on and so forth. That's why it takes 2 days instead of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's always a nightmare for having such conversations.
Yeah, and it changes the conversation, the wrong incentives, like the client tends to start micromanaging, and this is something that we do not tolerate at all. If someone tries to micromanage us, don't do it. And that's why so I think we can do like a final overview. I think we've covered enough in this episode. That's why we came to the conclusion that we need to have either something fixed or a team working with a monthly fee on ongoing basis. And it's best combined with discovery phase, then doing something fixed, then figuring out this is at least 2 years long project, then forming a team and starting to perform better and ship more things to production. And whenever we are done with our work, follow up with a support engagement. I think this works really well for us. And it also works really well for the client because they get more predictability and they get better teams that have the incentive to become better. And I think that's why we're here right now.
I think we covered it all.
Yeah. What's the time, Teddy?
30 minutes.
30 minutes again. All right. 1,000 subscribers. We are still looking for them. We are investing quite a lot in YouTube. I hope you like the content that we're producing. This was HackCast Season 3, Episode number 2. We talked about money. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And see you next time.
Like and subscribe.